So everyone. The series of Parshiot, which conclude the Torah, begin this week. Parsha Nitzavim and Vayelech, Shavishuva U'Yazinu, and then there'll be the Zot HaBracha. The Meforshim saw in this a progression, a pattern. Rashi quotes at the beginning of this week's Parsha of Nitzavim, Horiku Anayim Shel Yisrael. The Jewish people were astounded. Their faces dropped, the blood dropped, drained from them when they heard the 98 klolos, which were recited in last week's Parsha of Kitova. And because of that, there was a feeling that they would not survive. After all, such fearsome events not only destroy the people, they dishearten them. They don't give them a chance to be restored. We see that throughout the history of the world, how empires have fallen. It's not because of the defeat, but they fell because the society could no longer have the self-confidence to continue. And they therefore collapsed. So Moshe reassures the Jewish people, Atem nitzavim hayom kulchem lifnei Hashem Elokeichem. You will survive it. The Jewish people will be here. There's a famous marshal of the Rambam, his Talmud, Yosef Ibn Eknin, was the Rav in Baghdad. And apparently in Baghdad, at the time of the Rambam, 12th century, there were many Jews that were not observant. They fell away from Judaism. So Rabbi Yosef Ibn Ekman wrote to the Rambam and he said, what's going to be here? I'm in a community where our numbers are declining. The people are assimilating. The study of Torah is waning. I'm very discouraged. So the Rambam wrote him back, and he said, Emshol l'chol moshel. I will describe for you a parable, how to look at it. He said, at the beginning of the autumn season, such as where we are now, the leaves, we don't notice it so much in Israel because our trees are deciduous and they live through the winter. But in the northern and other areas of the world, the leaves begin to die. And the leaves fall off the tree. The Rambam says that every leaf that falls off the tree says, woe to the tree. The tree is going to be barren. It has no leaves. There's no protection. There's no future. He says, but the truth is just the opposite. The tree will survive the winter. And next spring it will produce new leaves. But every leaf that falls off the tree is irrevocably dead. Will never again come to life. So he said, our task is to keep our leaf on the tree. Don't worry about the tree. We have a promise from the Ribono Shel Olam that the tree will survive. That's the promise of this week's parsha. Atem nitzavim hayom kulchem lifnei Hashem Elokeichem. After 3,000 years, the tree is still here. And he says that's the simple explanation of the pasuk that we recite. Eitz chaim hi lamachazikim bo. It's an eitz chaim if you're connected to the tree, if you hold on to it. But if you're severed from the tree, so then you'll never come back again. So the tree naturally is Torah, but the tree is the Jewish people as a whole. There are many Jews that have zchuyot simply because they're attached to the tree. So that is the beginning of how we should deal with it. Atem nitzavim hayom kulchem. Now Rashi quoted this medrash 1,000 years ago. But it's as pertinent and as prescient as ever by us as well. The strength of the Jewish people will be whether we're attached to the tree or whether we want to give up. Then there's the Parsha Vayelech. It's not, that's another process. After being attached to the tree, Vayelech, we have to go forward. We have to build upon that. We see that Moshe on his last day on earth is going and doing and climbing mountains. Klal Yisrael, I've often said that there's no concept of retirement. You don't see in the Talmud that any of the rabbis ever retired. They became old, couldn't do what they once did, but they didn't retire. And that's what we say, LeDavid Hori, Shifti Neveis Hashem, Kol Yemei Chaya. Rashi's Rebbe, one of his, he had 3 Rebbeim, Rabbi Segel, and Rabbi Alevi, Rabbi Klonimus. So and they were all Talmidim of Rabbi Gershom Meor Agola. So the legend is now, legends are, legends illustrate things. They're not necessarily literal recording of events, but they teach us values. It's important to know legends. So the legend is that when his Rebbe became old, so he couldn't say the Shiur anymore. He didn't remember the sources, couldn't read. But he came every day to the yeshiva. And the legend is that he would wipe off the dust from the Aron Kodesh with his beard. So that's an illustration of Shivti B'Veis Hashem Kol Yimei Chaya. So Vayelech Moshe, Moshe's going. He did good to the end. We read in the Parsha of Zos HaBrocha L'nos Lecho Bocha Aso'eno. Moshe did not suffer any of the infirmities of advanced age. But Moshe's the exception. There's no one that escapes it. Nevertheless, Vayelech, you can still do something. Still have the ability to contribute. Still have the ability to strengthen spirit. So that will lead us. I think my time is up.
Yeah. Give them a couple minutes.
It's always 2 minutes. But that will lead us to Ha'azinu. And the great song of Moshe, which is the history and the destiny of the Jewish people all rolled into one. To realize that we are part of such a drama and we have a chance to be on stage. So how we should appreciate that. And we see the Rabbanu Shalom is doing these symphony flows for us for every day. What a time to live in. With all of its difficulties and all of its fearsome cost. To live through a great time. And if we appreciate that, then we come to the Zot HaBrocha. So that's the blessing. The blessing is that we're nitzovim and that we're vayelech and that we experience ha'azinu, and that's the brocha of the Jewish people, which leads to eternity and to greatness. Reb Chanani ben Akasha Omer, what's that? Baruch Hu v'zakos Yisrael, Fichol Hir B'Elohim Torah Mit.